Well, my name's Tim Hayden. I'm the CEO of Brain+Trust Partners. We've been a partner with Treasure Data since 2018. We do the custom configuration and implementation of the platform. We're one of those implementation folks who plugs it into everything, or plugs everything into it. And obviously, I'm not the technologist. I work with lots of folks that are doing some fantastic things with machine learning, and for the next several minutes, probably I'd say 35 to 40 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about some real use cases about democratizing machine learning across different business units, and doing that on not just a regional basis, but on a global basis. We're going to hear a little bit as well on other capabilities the platform has. Without me saying any more than that, I will let my two panelists introduce themselves.
Great. Thanks, Tim. So, hello everyone. I am Runsang, so Data and Audience Manager from PMI. So it's truly being a pleasure with all of you today. So a little bit about my background first. So I am originally coming from China, and I get my journey started in London, and where I studied and worked for 6 years. So London actually, after that I was joined the PMI Global for 1 year, where I started a lot of exciting projects with Treasure Data team. And also, since March, I have been here in the US, leading the CDP team in the US market. So because we're just launching a new market here, and I am really passionate about data science and how we can use machine learning models to drive the business growth, which really makes the impact. So I'm very excited to share some of the lessons we have learned with the Treasure Data team, and how we scale our global machine learning framework, and what it's like to adapting to the unique challenges we have in the US market. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Runsang. Hi everyone, my name is Dilyan Kovachev. I am the head of machine learning analytics engineering at Treasure Data. What my team mostly does is we do R&D on developing new custom ML analytic solutions that we can then deploy for different customer use cases. We often work directly with customers to customize and optimize solutions to their specific use cases, and PMI is one of the customers we've worked with a lot over the years, so I'm very excited to share their story here, and also I can provide some context on other customer use cases as well.
Excellent, excellent. So, Runsang, talk a little bit with us about how your team leveraged Treasure Data's the architecture and the functionality to develop an automated machine learning framework that manages data complexities, right? That part of it, but also I want you to kind of lean into meeting the diverse business needs and complying with all the regional specific requirements that you have.
Yeah, sure. So everything starts with a challenge, right? So before we built this automated machine learning framework, our biggest challenge was managing the data complexity across multiple teams, because we have analytics team, the business team, data science team, and each of their team has their own way to calculate different features, which causes a lot of discrepancies in the numbers, and also made it very difficult to manage the consistency. And on top of that, we also have a lot of repeated codes from different data scientists across different regions and markets, so which made it really hard to reuse and scale for the best practice. So we knew we needed a solution for that, which can handle these challenges globally, and that's when we built this highly scalable machine learning framework with the Treasure Data team. At the core of this system is actually a centralized feature store, so where we designed the advanced functionalities like time travel function, the point-at-time analysis, and rolling months, etc. These with the Treasure Data's tech stack. And we extended the feature store for 2 main users, and one is for the analytics and another is for the modeling purpose. So for the analysis side, our analysts can easily customize different parameters for different markets, generate insights that are tailored to specific business needs. And we also have automated this process with like the descriptive analysis, the feature colorations. And so our business team can easily understand how different factors impact the business objectives. And on the modeling side, we create a full ML stack that covers everything from feature normalization, from model selection, production, and monitoring. So this framework makes it really easy for our data scientists to train and deploy the new model. Or even like perform the exploratory data analysis, so they don't even need to write the same code over and over again. Everything is reusable, scalable, and easy to maintain. So this was especially crucial for us because we operate in over lots of regions and markets, so our framework can adapt easily to meet these market-specific requirements. So decentralized automated framework really help us to scale our operations globally and also improve the collaboration across the teams. So and also deliver the constant and high quality results from the data.
So Dilyan, he mentioned earlier that he's worked obviously with the PMI team. Talk a little bit about Treasure Data Professional Services and how that impacted the pace of everything you've been doing, right?
Yeah, of course. So this definitely is not like one person work. So we had amazing support from our Treasure Data team, which really, really helps us to speed the project. So first of all, we had Dilyan and Ish from the Treasure Data machine learning team. So we met with them like weekly to sync up on the development of our ML framework. And their support are very invaluable because they are truly the expert in the Treasure Data tech stack. So Dilyan was provided us a lot of guidance on the feasibility of what we were building and are we on the right track since we are just starting. And also Ish brought tons of hands-on experiences for us for the overall structure of our framework. And for example, she helped us design the whole model template, includes the classification and the regression model, which is super helpful because it streamlines everything for us. And on top of that, we also have Jonathan from the data engineering team, and his focus was on ensuring the platform could handle the large-scale queries we need to run, just given the fact that the amount of data we are processing globally. So because of their support, both from the machine learning perspective and engineering perspective, so which really made a huge, big difference for us. Yeah.
So I want to go to you, Dilyan, because Treasure Data being a pioneer in schemaless ETL, right, was a big deal early. And obviously following that with very resolute identity, object, entity resolution, everybody that's used it in a marketing capacity, and it's a promise we make to them, or it's a commitment, right, that they can reduce their media budget and much of their marketing expense by double percentage points. What are some of the other efficiencies when it comes to marketing campaigns, when it comes to the marketing operation? What are some other efficiencies that maybe you've seen with PMI, but you've seen with other customers as well?
Yeah, for sure, great question. So obviously Runsang already touched upon a lot of important parts, especially if you're talking about doing something global and piping intelligence into many different markets, many different teams. The scalability, flexibility of the framework, that's our, the core of our product. Before we added all these cool, new features and marketing features, it was just the ability to manage large volumes of data. And I think when people think like machine learning or data engineering, all of that, like a lot of people get caught up on the details and the complexity. What I really want to just zoom out a little bit and just talk about the pure, just improving scalability and speed of processes that either were before done in silos by this little team or that medium team,
sure.
Teams not communicating to each other. when you just the ability to process data, like trillions of rows of data from different sources, to unify it, to federate it, to clean it, to standardize that process and have it all that happen in a matter of like minutes, that's already like a huge operational efficiency gain. Now let's go through like just a simple example also in terms of ROI gain, because already just deploying that gives you, like I said, a lot of operational efficiency, speed of piping up intelligence to different teams. But let's talk about ROI gains from marketing campaigns as well. So again, I always advise, like, start with simple, quick wins. So here's a hypothetical example. You're a Treasure Data customer with 10 million profiles, and let's say 10% of them are people who convert with an average order value of $100. So that's 100 million of revenue for you per year. So let's say you do some kind of identification or some kind of optimization with ML that, let's say, for starters, you just increase, your average order value by $5. Now we're talking $105 on, 1 million users, 5 million revenue gain already by just such a small, like, it's very feasible to do something with that much volume of data, and actually it's very feasible to increase average order value for your already loyal existing customers by $5.
Right.
Here's a $5 million gain already. Now let's say that you also leverage another model that gets you 10% more converted users. So you go from 1 million to like 1.1 million. Now, on top of that, you're getting another like 10 million, with the, I guess, increase order value like 10.5. So we're talking with just these simple, very achievable things, the economies of scale can make such a huge impact for an organization. Now we're talking with 2 simple use cases activated at scale. You're gaining a 15 million revenue gain, and let's say your Treasure Data investments is $1 million a year, that's 15x on your return. And that's like 2 simple use cases. If I start listing all the other things you can do, we're not going to have enough time.
No,
So
I know.
I always say start simple, prove the value, then add as much complexity and see what happens from there.
So, the sign out front says these are technical sessions, but what are we really looking at here in terms of early steps to move in that direction, so that we're talking about building machine learning and we're putting machine learning to work in a way that business users, not technical users, actually get that value out of it? I mean, you just spoke in terms of what I would call KPIs or measures of success that a CTO would nod at, but a CMO could get excited about, or a CFO could get excited about. Are there certain steps that you see should be taken on the front end to really make sure that we're approaching machine learning the right way, for the business user as much as the technical user?
Yeah, great question. So I would say number one, just based on me talking to customers, is I think the first step a lot of you in this room are already taking, it's like education. As you know, like, things are changing rapidly with technology now. I feel like there's a new solution every day. So just being open to learning and asking questions, what's out there, not being stuck with your, old Excel spreadsheets and your old models that, okay, worked for you in the past and are still working, but how much are you missing out on by not leveraging some of the new technology? So coming to CDP World, talking to our customer success team, talking internally with some of the more, technical folks or people who are just like looking into what can be done with data automation and like machine learning. So education is number one. I think number two, obviously, communication. So when you learn that something might be applicable to you and it's not being done in the organization, if you're not the core decision maker, go and communicate to stakeholders. Propose like, a small POC or a small A/B testing. Like I think if we leverage these 2 like models, or we connect these 2 channels, I think we can gain an X increase in conversion. So like communicate that. And then the last thing I would say is just plan this use case execution in a way. I would say mainly you want to answer 4 key questions. One is like what? So like what use cases should we focus on? That usually comes from, again, communication. Include the marketing teams, include the business teams. Ask like, what are some of the pain points? What is some of the data that's not coming to you that you think will improve you, make better decisions? So what is some of the stuff you're doing with marketing channels that you want to pipe in some extra intelligence, or do some more like personalization, real time, or follow up with a specific email at a specific time? There's different models you could leverage for all of that. You just have to kind of learn about and communicate. then why? So like the other question is, why are we doing this? What is the goal we're trying to achieve? Once you know what the goal is, then I would say the last two questions are like who are the right people to actually like execute this project end to end, and then the last thing is like how. So like what are the technical and marketing steps that need to happen for this to work end to end, and I would say and how do we measure performance, because like measuring and proving the value is like the final most important step, because what's the point of everything else if we can't prove that it's working?
Definitely, definitely. And in Runsang, I mean, we'll stay kind of in that vein for a second, because, you've got this incredible ML framework now, and you've been successful at taking it across continents, across oceans, right? Spreading it in a global capacity to where insights are shared in all directions now, and how you dial that up. Can you really talk, I would say, to how you went about prioritizing certain machine language models, more specifically to PMI, and then how did you do so intentionally to know that you could materialize some type of return on investment? Talk to that a little bit.
That's a very great question, and that's something we always think about. So when prioritizing with the ML models and business insights, which one to deploy first, we always focus on the high impact user cases that could deliver immediate business value to us. So we start by collaborating closely with our marketing and the business team to define what is the key pain points and what is the opportunity there across different regions. So for example, we have the customer segmentation, the personalized marketing, and trend prediction were some of the first few models that we prioritize because they have direct impact on our customer engagement, acquisition, and retention. So for example, the customer segmentation model allows us to target the high-value customers which more efficiently by leveraging our behavior data across the regions. And this drives more personalized campaigns and leading to higher conversion rates and better customer satisfaction. And also the churn prediction model help us to was very crucial in reducing the attrition by identifying the at-risk customer and enabling the predictive strategies, etc. So in terms of the ROI, and this model directly influence the top line growth by improving the marketing efficiency and also customer retention. So the insights gathered by these models have not only helped us to reduce the marketing costs by target the right group, but also help us to improve our customer value by focusing more efforts on delivering the right contents and offers. And also the scalability of our ML framework allows us to continuously to refine and roll out the new models, which make the whole entire system more adaptable and responsive to the new changes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, and on that, I mean, you'd say this was a very, well, I think you've said this to me before, it was very collaborative between the data science teams, marketing teams, and other business units as well, right?
Absolutely.
So with that, can you describe, the specific, a specific model or use case, focusing on the data context and the business problem that was addressed, and then the key data decisions that you made using Treasure Data's machine learning capabilities? Just maybe a pinpoint surgical view of that.
Yes, so one key use case I would like to discuss is the churn prediction model we developed, which aims at identifying the customer who are at risk of disengaging of our brand. So the business problem we were addressing is trying to improve the customer retention by proactively identify the churn risk, so which can allow our marketing and engagement team to intervene before the customer fully disengaged. And in terms of the data context, we were working with a wide range of data points. And from the transactional data, engagement metrics from different channels, and also behavior data collected across from different touch points. So using our machine learning framework, which sitting with the treasure data, we centralized all the relevant data within the CDP and applied feature engineering to extract the meaningful insights. So a critical part of the process involved identifying the key drivers, signals the most predictive of the churn. So such as decrease in the purchase behaviors or like reduced engagement with our marketing channels. So we utilize the time travel functionality within our framework for analyze the historical data and track how consumer behavior change over time. So which gave us a lot of signal, early signs of the disengagement. And also churn model was building using our full machine learning framework, which includes the feature normalization, the model selection, and model evaluation. So we ensure that we are picking the best, the most predictive algorithm for each region. And by implementing the rolling months features, the model could dynamically capture like the recent consumer behaviors. So consumers will be assigned with different segments related to churn, and then we can target them with different strategies.
Excellent. Excellent. So, Dilyan, coming back to you, you know, the treasure data over the years has iterated this idea of data maturity, which is not a treasure data thing alone. It exists in every organization. There is that maturity, and then there's the machine learning maturity as well. And of course, for folks that are using systems like this, we have unintended consequences, and we have lots of surprises too, delightful surprises. One of the things I like is those clusters that you didn't know existed within audiences. It's, you know, soon after you do the data unification layer and you're starting to do some first level correlation, you're just like, wow, I never knew this about our customers. What have you seen across customers using treasure data that has surprised you the most, or, you know, in those categories?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Definitely one of my favorite moments when engaging with customers on some interesting models that bring up those insights. Because again, I think someone mentioned earlier, whether it was Kaz or during the keynote, but just like it's hard to see these things. Again, hard to see like the forest for the trees when you're trying to look at like one or two customers or like an isolated thing. But when a model can process billions of data, they can really surface, you know, get the signals out of the noise. So yeah, some interesting things that come up are definitely things like, I mean, yeah, so let's say I've seen the auto-segmentation model cluster users very differently for different customers, but the interesting thing is that like most of the time, even though the clustering seems very different, like picks different features, it seems to have a specific business application to that customer. You can tell that it learns from the specific data. Like the outputs can really be different depending on data. One example is, you know, a model for a specific customer isolated a segment that is basically a lot of prospects with high engagement that for some reason are not getting product recommendations. So then the customer had to go and be like, why are we not getting the product recommendations? Well, it turned out their kind of internal product recommendation model didn't address the cold start problem. So you had to have a purchase before you get the product recommendation. But you know, there was the auto-segmentation model found this really high valuable audience of people with a lot of email clicks, ad clicks, web visits. They visit products. They never got any recommendations. They probably, if they did with some promo, they would have converted. So a big missed opportunity there, right? And they saw that and they were like, oh, we see what the problem is here. Gotta go tell the marketing team. Another cool example is that, again, in a lot of these issues, when you see them, you understand it's a data silo and a team silo issue because there was just not communication between the channels. Right. Another one is either auto-segmentation model or multi-touch attribution model, because that multi-touch attribution model comes with a certain like journey, like describes the whole journey to conversion and the most common patterns to conversion. Another customer used a combination of auto-segmentation model, and then they wanted to see the journeys for the different segments and understand why they behave differently. And they found out that there were some really valuable users that were only targeted on one channel, and that's mainly because of internal practices of someone on the sales side decided that these people should only be addressed like in person during certain conferences or sales meetings. But then for all the other valuable audiences, it was obvious that digital channels, email have like large effects. So we're like, why are we not following up with these in-person people through other channels? We're missing on, and it showed how they're losing them through the journey steps. Like they fall off before conversion often, while the people who are nurtured across multiple channels are nurtured towards that conversion. And you know, I can think of many other examples, but there's definitely a lot of stuff that comes out, and that's the power of machine learning. Like I said, it's just, if one person was to do this analysis, you could think of, you know, like Mendeleev trying to put the table of elements, like one little experiment at a time, taking notes, one little, the machine learning model does all that at scale for you and just gives you the signals. So it's very powerful. Yeah, I've seen it many times.
Definitely, definitely. You know, Runsang, what are some key aspects that I think teams should consider? We've talked about this through the last couple of questions and answers, but you know, the key things to consider and the challenges that folks should expect when you automate end-to-end machine learning, right? When you do this within Treasure Data, how are you ensuring the outputs are easily accessible to less technical users like marketers and business decision makers, which, you know, if you hear us talking, you know, we're definitely speaking both sides of it. For you at PMI, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, when automating the end-to-end machine learning framework in Treasure Data, one of the first things the teams need to consider is who are your end users. So in our case, because we have the analytics team and also data science team, so we design our framework to accommodate both. So for example, we initially have an option to design an interface for this machine learning framework. Like, you know, you can drag and drop. You have different options to make it more interactive, but we decide to keep it back-end focused because we want to give our data scientists more flexibility to develop their new functionalities. So at the same time, we also create separate work streams for both our data analysts and data scientists, ensuring each of them could work efficiently and comfortably with different configuration files because they all have different skill sets. And another key consideration is making the outputs accessible to the non-technical audience, so like marketers and business decision makers. So while our framework is technically robust and flexible, it's also crucial that insights it produces are easy to understand. So to make it happen, we have set up a few dashboards that monitor the model performance and also tracking the business value generated by different models. So these dashboards help translate the complex data into a clear and actionable insights, make it much more easier for our stakeholders to see the real impact of each model. And we have also built in the model interpretability, so features so that even the non-technical users, they can understand why a model makes certain predictions.
Fantastic. Well, and you know, you've shared a little bit about your start in London and building this, and obviously a lot of the work that you did there led to the promotion and your opportunity to come here to move to Connecticut and to start to roll something out here in the United States. Talk to us a little bit about you know, how things changed or what's different maybe between what you did in London and globally and what you're doing now here. Which is also still globally, but now you're here in the United States. You know, what does that look like in terms of brand awareness, revenue, you know, in terms of your early work here, and where do you see it going?
Sure. So my transition to leading the US data team has been super exciting. So especially since the US is a new market for us to launch, and we have just launched our first campaign in October to gauge our consumer interest. So we are still at a very beginning stage of the journey. So I'm not going to lie, it will be a long journey to fully adopt and adapt our global ML stack for the US, but the potential is incredibly exciting because the US market, it presents unique challenges and opportunities as the consumer behaviors will vary significantly from the state to state. And to address this, we have leveraged our global stack to maintain the consistency in how we manage data while telling it meet the specific needs of our market. And we are also the first pilot market to have access to our local CDP within the treasure data, which give us the full access to build and train our own local models. And as we are developing these local models, so we work very closely with our global team, which is my old team. So who support us in productionize these models, ensuring that they're scalable and aligned with global standards. And over time, because we are getting more and more insights from the market, we are able to refining our own segmentation models and also enhance the trend model and flavor prediction, referral, etc. So more and more exciting projects are coming.
Awesome. Yeah, well, in Dilyan, we've talked about this a little bit earlier, at least we heard about it, how PMI approached it. And I know this from several years of implementing treasure data, the importance of internal stakeholders and constituents and external ones, because agencies and other consultants will be a part of this at least in a least privileged way, right? They'll have that opportunity. In a tweet or two, because we're getting a little short on time. For those of us who through today and listening to Runsang right now and understanding the global capacity of this, help us really understand, how you go about, at least from your point of view, thoughtful and prioritize use case identification, right? How do you really prioritize use cases? Do you have an approach that you have in place, customer by customer? And where does that get into ongoing strategic use planning from the initial implementation?
Yeah, for sure. Great question. Right, in a tweet or two, so let's try to be brief. Well, I think, first I would say, yes, think about just large-scale data systems and machine learning models. As you said, they have an internal and external application, right? You can empower internal teams, improve operational efficiency, consolidate, unify data, and think about external usage for marketing use cases, for targeting customers, agencies. So think about internal, external. Then I would say think about pain points and try to start, like I said, build always from simplicity to complexity. So think about some of the pain points that internal teams experience and that maybe like metrics and KPIs for the external campaigns and things that you really want to achieve a certain amount of email engagement or new subscriber rate, and you're like almost there but not quite there. So this is where, like I said, a little 5% gain could really get you there. So think about internal, external things you can improve with the data. What data points are needed for that? Make sure data's in good shape before you activate. Start simple. So if you think something is a low effort, high impact, that's where I would start. There's plenty of use cases like that you can start. Don't overcomplicate things. You're gonna get too overwhelmed by trying to do 7 things at the same time. Get that low-hanging fruit, clean the data, federate that data, start getting some small gains. Once you have small gains, it's so easy to expand because, like I said, once you win stakeholders that have the budgets and can make the decisions to do more ML, then really the floodgates are open and then you can see a lot more things happen. And last, but also very important, measure. Make sure before you set things up, you already are thinking about how we're going to set up the measurements so we can really prove that value. That's what's going to really expand your ML use, your CDP use, like get more trust in your data, get more trust in the models, get more trust in the systems, and really, you can make a lot of impact once these things are in place.
Sure. So, in wrapping up a little bit here, Runsang, we've talked a little bit how to and how you do this, what advice would you have to anybody who's just starting this journey, right? Who's not down the path like you are, not getting promoted in the company yet for their machine learning prowess yet. In the beginning, what advice would you give to somebody?
Yeah, I think actually Dilyan already covers a lot of points I want to discuss about. So just to wrap it up, I think if you're just starting your journey, my first piece of advice is to start with a clear business objective, because it's very easy for you to get lost in technical possibilities because there's so many things you can do. But always keep in mind the specific business problems you want to do, whether it's customer segmentation, the churn model, or personalized engagement, because define these goals early on will really guide your data strategy and help you to prioritize the right models and also the features. And next thing I think is really important is you need to have a strong data foundation. So ensure that your data pipelines are robust, scalable, and clean, because of the quality of your data will really have a strong impact on the success of your machine learning models. If it's always garbage in, then it will be garbage out. And at the same time, don't be afraid to start something from simple, small, and keep iterating, because it's always good to have a baseline and you need to learn from it and you can compare and improve, and rather than just wait for a perfect system. And another very key point I want to say is to start from the simpler models. You don't need to jump into a complex model like LLMs right away, because focus on the models that directly address your business needs. For example, our segmentation model is just a rule-based model, but it has incredibly enhanced and help us to understanding our consumer journey. Because simple models can often drive the significant value without the complexity, and it's very easy to deploy and maintain. And I would also emphasize the importance of model measurement that Dilyan just talked about, and it is crucial to launch a real-world campaign to test whether your models are delivering the expected results that you expect to see. And you need to define your clear KPI upfront, like conversion rates, retention rates, or engagement metrics, etc., to measure the success of your models. And you can implement A/B testing, which is a valuable way to see if the changes driven by your models are truly making a difference or not. And I would also say last, plan for your scalability when you're just early on your journey. Because as you grow, your data will increase in volume and complexity, and having a framework in place that can scale with your needs will save a lot of time and effort in the long run. Just see our centralized machine learning framework, for example, was designed with the scalability and making it very easier to deploy more and more new models and for our markets, and also adapting to different evolving business impacts.
So when you first started answering that question, you used the word perfect. You were talking about the data foundation and setting up for the perfect operation. Let's be clear. The irony is not lost that Cause always asks people, I've been in the room with him before, and somebody says, what does treasure data do? And he just looks back at him and says, what do you need done, right? The malleability of the platform, that's basically what we've been talking about here in terms of bespoke machine learning models or configurations of machine learning models to put the CDP into motion. But if there was one thing you could tell Treasure Data that you would like to see in terms of a capability, what's missing? What's the one thing you'd like to see?
There is really one thing we would want to see. So I would say enhanced collaboration tools when the platform could have a significant impact, especially working with different people in the team. So features like shared model platform, and where we can do some in-platform commenting or model reviews, workflows would allow data scientists to collaborate more effectively on the model development. So this would this would really streamline the feedback and iteration, making it easier for us to develop the models together across different regions while ensuring the consistency and quality. Because currently we are using the Bitbucket for the team collaboration, but we need to develop a lot of workarounds for to integrate the workflows and streamline the process between the treasure data and Bitbucket. So if we can have this built-in collaboration too inside the treasure data, which will save us a lot of time for data scientists to focus more actually on the actual data science work.
Fantastic. So as a parting question for each of you, we got a glimpse this morning of not just machine learning, but AI models coming into the view of the UI and your ability to have agentic, these aren't agents necessarily, but they are agentic configurations of models that allow you to basically increase your workforce in terms of the licenses. We talk about software in a very legacy Silicon Valley way of numbers of records to manage and number of seat licenses for the tool, right? Boy, things are about to change. Where do you see it going when you think about not just language models, what everybody is so enamored with prompt engineering, but the real work that AI can do in operations and in helping a business do more with less, or just to lift what we do? It's got to be a symphony, right, of AI and machine learning working together. Where do you guys see it going from here?
I can start with this one if you want me to. Yeah, so my team is fortunate enough to actually be part of the R&D of a lot of these agents that we're still only developing internally and testing, but hopefully they'll start making the platform more and more, as you saw the marketing copilot example. So one really cool example is ID unification agents. So a lot of customers do. Obviously, ID unification is a fundamental use case, and my team spent a lot of time to optimize this process and also create a dashboard that provides a pretty useful summary, so you understand what IDs are responsible for a lot of the deduplication, where are there some bad IDs causing over-merging, what's the average number of emails, phone numbers per person. So our goal has always been to make these things available to a non-technical user so people can do their job and focus on the important stuff and on those decisions without having to spend too much time on technical stuff. So a dashboard was already a good step to summarize that, but we have now built an agent which literally just gives you the whole summary and tells you, here's the important information, this is possibly that many IDs are possibly being over-merged compared to the average that we already know because we've deployed this across a lot of customers. So the model can also have an information of, okay, your deduplication rate is 10%, that is within the range of 5 to 15% that we see across all global customers, so you're doing a good job. Over-merged profiles is 3%, that's very normal and expected, but here are some data sources and some IDs that might be causing that. You might want to go do some cleanup of IDs or do something like that. So all that took hundreds and hundreds of hours of work from my team, and now we've boiled it down to a little automated prompt agent that now that intelligence can be provided to across a lot of customers without my team having to go and help each customers do that. Right. I mean, from here, the sky is the limit. It's incredible because there's so many little examples like that that could be built into an agent that provides that summary for customers, and just the speed at which that information will come to people, it makes it more digestible. It will make a lot more people machine learning and data analytics accessible to a lot more people who are a little intimidated by having to go in a database or write some SQL or even look through a dashboard. So I mean, I could talk about this forever, but I'm just excited right now to be part of testing and seeing some really good results. So that's why I'm so excited about it, because when you see it with your eyes, like Kaz said earlier, Kaz was like, I was impressed. I was like, okay, I'm also impressed. And I'm been in machine learning for over 7-8 years now, and yeah, very impressive stuff. So very excited to see where we go, and excited that Treasure Data is already taking some steps to get ahead of that and start building some useful agents for our customers. And actually, to be honest, even we have agents that improve internal efficiency, like our data engineers checking data quality before they go from staging to like production. You know,
Right.
data comes at the source, they get a bunch of summary about possible like bad data, missing values, things like that. So there's gonna be a lot coming. Very exciting. I don't know if you guys have thought about this internally yet.
For sure, share the same feeling. So, I mean, AI is reshaping how we working now. And just think about what Charlie was sharing in the morning. Like, it literally blows my mind. And I was discussing with my colleagues, like, when literally we can have this feature, the AI Copilot, the AI segmentation. This is so, so cool. And I mean, in our case, it's allowing, you know, for us to deliver the real-time and also personalized insights to different markets using our machine learning framework. But AI agents are automatic decision-making and improving the efficiency. But there are still, in my view, there are still some challenges. The complexity of, you know, managing the scale, the scalability, also ensuring the models accurate, and also you need to balance in your privacy, and can be really tricky sometimes, especially across the regions and markets. So the potential, I would say, is very huge, but the real challenge is also harnessing it effectively. So we need to make sure like the AI really helps us without adding new layers of the complexity.
Exactly. I mean, that's the biggest thing I say to people is just what the smartphone did as well, right? Is it took 5-step processes and made them into 2-step processes, and AI just does the same thing. Got it. This is the last session in this room. We are technically up against time, but we don't have to get out of here. If any of you have questions, we'll hang around for a little bit. We just stand between you and the drinks. Anybody have a question or about anything that's been answered or presented? Do you have another handheld mic?
The cost implications?
Very mature machine learning or data science teams who are building a lot of models outside of treasure data, right? Because they don't have access to treasure data, right? They use GCP or any other cloud native solutions that they have. And how do I, or even if they or if they build, say, like a lifetime LTV or, you know, profitability model, right? Versus treasure data build something. I mean, I think we are in a constant battle to figure out, okay, which one is better, right? Because it's not an easy sort of way to, you know, figure out, right, that which model is performing better, because marketing or marketeers don't understand that, and they get more confused where I'm telling you, okay, this is my homegrown model versus this is treasure data model, right? And then they kind of look at with you know, open eyes, right? Like okay, I don't understand what you say, right? And it's a problem that at least me and my team have. I'm from Universal Music Group. Some of you probably know that we are probably implementing the most complex CDP solution that so far treasure data has implemented, and this is something I would love to get some of your perspectives.
So I know that like I think we're also working on an agent that's going to be able to analyze different workflows and queries and provide like summary of like compute and ways to optimize that. And perhaps then you can, you know, kind of link that to cost as well. So there will be an agent for that as well, hopefully, which should be helpful. But in terms of internally evaluating, I'm not sure, Runsang, if your team is specifically concerned with cost, or is that more the IT team?
Yeah, I would say it's more for the IT side to evaluating like the big queries we are running, like what kind of cost that is.
But at the moment, yeah, I would say the cost analysis should be a collaborative process where you could reach out to your technical account managers or whatever support engineers on treasure data, maybe to try to figure out how you can, like whatever we're trying to build as an agent, that information can be retrieved, and then perhaps once you have that estimate of the cost, you go and pin that against whatever external system you're using, and you try to figure out which one is better.
Just add a point here. So when we're developing our framework, we always keep in mind that we are optimizing. So we are also doing the optimization at the same time. So that time, like, because we have the big data, we have a lot of queries. So we always need to make sure everything is running in parallel and everything is running within the smaller cost. So we always have that mindset that we need to optimize our framework at the same time when we are developing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have probably done all of this, but it's at least to me at this point, I don't think there's an easy way to get out of TD. Like TD, the console doesn't tell me that for this algorithm, this is the cost that you are incurring every month. I think that's a challenge, right? When I go to my finance guys, there is not a very definite or clear way of quantifying that if I were to run 10 algorithms for 50 artists, this is the money that I'm going to pay. Because in the US, we have like 1,500 artists. And you have Taylor Swift, who herself is a company. Just the volume, right, that she generates. We have Billie Eilish. And even if I have to prioritize the top 15 artists by revenue or by fan base, they'll still ask me a number, right? And I think that's where a lot of these challenges are there, where I just can't give them a number. Because once I tell them a number, and if that number's not a right number, I can't go back to them in 3 months from now and say, okay, give me another 500,000, right? I think that's the biggest bottleneck that we are facing right now to bring or use ML models within treasure data.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely share that with the internal engineers and Kaz. And if you're on stage with Kaz and he asks you a question, what's one feature that can improve your day-to-day? I'm sure that will be your answer.
No, I mean, definitely if it was a very ML-driven discussion, right? But yeah, I mean, I think that was just something that.
But let's see what that agent can do. There will be an agent released at some point. Maybe it can answer some of your questions. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Rohan, can you bring the mic up here to the front row? Probably have time for one, maybe two more. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Hey guys. So normally when you run SQL in treasure data, it's like runs with like split hours, and I guess it's charged by number of split hours. If you're using like the Python client to run or to train a machine learning model outside of treasure data, is that also like some split hours number? Or like where does that, like the training of the model, if that happens kind of not in the platform, then like not via Trino or whatever, then like how can you put a number to that computational like load?
So yeah, let me just ask a clarifying question. The model that's being trained outside the platform, you're referring to like not using custom scripting and running a Python model there, but maybe running a model in like Databricks or somewhere out there.
So if I was using custom scripting,
if you were using
so
custom
like
scripting,
the treasure data Python connection.
So if you're using custom scripting, it has like a similar break. Like there's Python hours that come with a different custom scripting tier, and those are again determined by the compute that your Python environment is using and how long it's running for. The good thing about that is that it's runs inside the Docker image, so it only runs when you call it. So it gets shut down. So it's pretty optimal, but also depending on how much Python you're doing, you could consume your hours. So, but it doesn't use your Presto hours, right? Python hours are separate from Presto. So
got it as well.
Yeah.
And I guess like maybe this is wrong, but if the training split is like only 10% of like the, you know, you don't need to use the entire data set to
Correct.
train the model,
Mm-hmm.
then I guess that also brings down like costs.
Absolutely, yeah, because your models will run faster, less memory will be consumed, 100%. I mean, the part of the framework, you know, PMI has a lot of data, but that's part of the framework is like how do we sample a robust sample to train the model? Because then you can pick out the model and then you can score on the rest of the population when needed, or you can score in mini batches. So yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the whole point of the ML framework was a lot of efficiency and optimization and scale, dealing with scalability. And like I said, PMI has a very dedicated IT department that vets queries, vets all the frameworks, takes cost into consideration, and so you know they help with optimizing, and they bring that feedback to Runsang team and my team, and then we help parallelize things, reduce the size of different processes that are not necessary to optimize, you know, how the hours are used, how the compute is used, yeah.
Okay, so you can optimize, I guess, like bring the price down by finding the lowest training sample size number that still gives like a meaningful model.
Exactly.
And also optimizing like the frequency of how often the model runs.
All of that, you're hitting all the parts that are part of building an efficient large-scale network framework, which is the topic of this chat. But yeah, these are the steps, and you know, definitely reach out after this talk to me and my team. That's what we help customers with. So if you have more questions or ideas, we could take this further some other day. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing the better part of an hour with us. And as Dilyan just said, we'll be happy to continue, speaking on behalf of me at least, you know, some of these conversations elsewhere.
Thank you.